Welcome back, everybody, to. Sorry, I felt like that was a little bit low. Welcome back to another edition of the Prospect Profits live show here. Again, unfortunately, no Jack Despo to join us, but he will be back on Tuesday. We've got two more shows in our summer scouting series here. Today, we'll be going over some of the top offensive tackles going into the 2021 season for the 2022 NFL Draft, which is just around the corner, 7-8 months away, whatever.
It's much further away than that.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's about
actually
7.
not. It's 8 months away. Damn, that's crazy.
So our draft expert here at the NFL Draft Bible doesn't even have a countdown in his head, so I guess he's not even a draft fanatic. Unbelievable.
I gotta bring the countdown back, actually. That's a great idea.
We'll get the countdown going. But we're going to talk about one of the most important positions in football, the offensive tackle position. And we are going to talk about some of our favorites, maybe some under-the-radar guys, maybe some guys that you've heard of, but some of the guys that we really are excited to see going into next year and could be risers or top-of-the-draft guys in 2022. Lorenz, how you doing today? How's it going? How you feeling? You excited?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I'm always excited when we get to do a show and it's about scouting because that's the most fun thing. And if we get to talk about one of the more fun positions to evaluate, which are offensive tackles and the offensive line, one of the positions I really like to watch and I really like to write up. That's obviously exciting. Got some. I don't know. The class on first glance is not that strong, to be completely honest. There are two guys I think that are first round locks. Beyond that, there a lot can happen. There are some potential risers. One I think of the one big riser we'll get into right away, but it's not as good of a class I think as people are used to. But there's still some talent and still 6 interesting guys that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, and I think you've said it before, and I tend to agree with you. The people out there who say that scouting offensive linemen is boring, come on. What are you?
What are we doing?
Watch the offensive lineman. It's the most fun position to scout. But let's jump into it here, Lorenz. Why don't you give us one guy right now that you're real excited about?
Yeah, I mean Charles Cross out of Mississippi State played on a pretty bad football team last year. Let's be honest. The Bulldogs in the SEC not very successful outside that Week 1 upset against LSU. He's someone, just for a bit of background knowledge, I think he came into college at around 275, played at around 288 last year. I was redshirt his first season, actually. Started last year at left tackle at around 288. And is apparently up to 300, which would be great for him because we're going to get into the weaknesses in a little bit. But he's got great athleticism. I mean, Charles Cross is a really explosive athlete at the left tackle spot. He's got outstanding foot speed, in my opinion. He's almost impossible to beat around the outside shoulder with pure speed. You got to get up really early in the morning because he's going to be able to get out there, match that speed with his sets. I really like his balance. I think he's excellent there. He's able to recover, whether that's on inside counters. He can do that. He's got great agility. And then he's technically sound. You don't expect a 19-year-old redshirt freshman to be as technically sound as he is, but Charles Cross really is. I think he's got the length. He's got the technique. He's got the athleticism. Now, the one big thing that's a big concern with him is his strength. I mean, he's got a skinny lower body right now, and it shows up when when power rushers threaten him because he's just unable to anchor. He gets driven back into the pocket. It's a big concern that he does have right now, and that's some strength that he's not going to win with technique. I think technique-wise, he's pretty much there. I mean, as weird as it sounds, there are going to be small tweaks and things that he's going to be able to resolve, but in general, Charles Cross, I think, is there in technique terms. So he's going to have to find that strength in the weight room. We'll see if it happens. Being up to 300 right now, if he is, I think it's going to help him this year. He's not locked to come out, but I think in a weak tackle class, if he can establish himself as that number 3 guy, which he certainly could, if he gets stronger, I think Charles Cross is a strong name to know in this draft.
Yeah, I've definitely heard specifically from you about Charles Cross, but I've heard about him. Have not seen anything on him, so I'm going to take your word for it here. But like you said, it's an open tackle class. There's a lot of uncertainty, so we'll see exactly where he could push himself into. I'd say I'm really excited about this next guy that we're going to go over here. Tyler Vrabel, Boston College. Now, this last name might sound familiar to you. This is the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel's son, and he is playing on the other side of the ball that his dad did. His dad was a linebacker, of course, for the New England Patriots and I think a couple other teams, but playing at Boston College this year, going to play the right tackle spot. I have not seen this kid high on anyone's rankings, and maybe I'm just bad, but I really like what I see in this kid. And yes, there is bad tape. If you go through his games, there are some games that are really questionable. But the thing with him is that I think that the good tape is something that you can build on and work with him with. Like I think that he's already someone who, for me, is ready to come in and compete for a job in the NFL. I'm not saying he's a guaranteed starter right out the gates. I think someone who can come in immediately and compete. But what he does well on film, I think that you can enhance or add on, and I think he can be a really solid starter in the league. First of all, I think that he plays really well with his length. Now, he's not the lengthiest person in the world, but he plays well with his length. Doesn't play ineffectively with his length, making himself shorter. He plays exactly to his size and maybe even a little bit bigger. His sets are, I think, beautiful. I think that his footwork is outstanding to get outside, hit the set points. He does that phenomenally. And in the run game, he's really a mauler and really just takes guys out of the play, sets the edge really well on that right side. Now, I think that because of that, he gives you that versatility where he's not so big as well. You can immediately put him in at guard if needed to, and then eventually transition him out to tackle. But I think he's ready to play tackle now in the league. I'm really excited to see what he can do going into next season with Boston College. They've got a great offensive line. They got a great offense. There's going to be eyes on them. I think more people have to have their eyes on this kid. I really liked what I saw on his film. I think right now we're sitting at someone who's a second round pick. If Liam Eichenberg can go in the second round, this kid can go in the second round. I think he's a better player than Liam Eichenberg. And I think that you put another great season on film, he could be the first offensive lineman from Boston College taken this year. And I know they've got a few that are real good.
I thought you were going to say the first offensive lineman taken. I was like, man, we got hot takes all around here.
We'll get to that guy.
I haven't gotten my eyes on Tyler Vrabel just yet, to be honest. But, man, like, certainly one of your guys, and he's playing on a loaded Boston College offense in general with the quarterback, with Zay Flowers there, and then 5 potentially draftable starters along the offensive line, if I'm not miscounting. So, exciting squad that they're building there.
Yeah, they have at least 5 right now that, or at least 4 right now that are going to probably get drafted, and I think the 5th one is another player who's at least on the radar. Is not, but
I think
4. I know. I
was just gonna say, yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I mean, it's Boston College and LSU really before the left tackle Rosenthal transferred out, who I was saying, man, they might have 5 guys in the offensive line drafted. But the good thing for Vrabel is, I mean, like, worst case, he's a second round pick to the Tennessee Titans, right?
Yeah, no, he can't go past there. Although they did just take Dylan Radins, who probably will start at that right tackle spot. But if it's another bad year for the right tackle spot, yeah, father-son connection.
Maybe it's cursed.
Yeah, I hope not for him then. But hey, let's get into another guy here who is someone who's definitely been rising this summer. I felt like I didn't hear much about him last year. Been a huge riser. Talk about Sean Rhyan from UCLA.
Yeah, Sean Rhyan is the first of 2 players that I watched this class where I'm saying he could be the dude in this class, the first off the board. First thing that stands out with Sean Rhyan is how big his lower half is. He's got a really big big thighs, and it shows up he's got excellent core strength with that thick lower body that he does have, able to anchor. He shuts down power so well. There are times, and we'll get into his hands a little bit, where he's not really good on first impact and pass sets, but then he's able to work back, recover, stop his feet, and just anchor from silly situations, just showing his ability to shut down that power rush, which is really impressive, even after, like I said, not really getting his hands and landing his punch. He's also a really good athlete. I mean, Sean Ryan, you watch him, he's explosive in his sets, similar to Charles Cross. He's going to be tough to beat around the outside. He's got really good balance and coordination. There are times where he has to actually open his hips because his initial punch gets defeated, gets beat around the outside shoulder, and then it's just able to continue getting some strength out of that upper body and running opponents around the pocket, which is just something you rarely see, or you do really want to see, because at times you're just going to lose in the NFL. And his recovery ability, even if things aren't going perfectly, it's just really impressive, and I think it's something that's going to translate in the run game. I don't think he's the most aggressive guy, and I think there's something to get out of him there, working to the second level. At the line of scrimmage, he's really good sealing the edge. He's got really good hands to twist opponents and then seal it off on outside runs. He's excellent. But yeah, his main two weaknesses, I think, and if he can't fix them, I'm saying he can very easily be that top guy in the class. It's really his initial punch isn't good. It's very inconsistent. He's off the mark a lot, causing him to recover, which shows his awesome recovery, but at times against NFL rushers, you might not be able to recover as well. And then a bit of a lack of aggression at times in the run game, where there's untapped potential. But I do think Sean Ryan has the potential to be a starting tackle, and a very good starting tackle in the league. I think those are fixable flaws, and I think this guy's going to start early, and he's going to be a name where we're going to hear about a lot more. Very good player. Brings a lot of the unteachables, really, the uncoachables that you look for at the position. And man, if he can fix a little bit of those flaws I talked about, I don't know how you beat him, because he's too athletic. He can shut down the inside counter. He's tough to beat around the outside, and then you won't go through him because that silly anchor that he does have, silly in a good way. I mean, yeah, he's a very exciting prospect.
Yeah, I actually thought about talking to Dowell here. I actually thought about doing Kennard as one of my guys for this one, but haven't done a full evaluation on him yet. So we will get to him, Dowell. Promise you. Don't worry. We got your Kentucky guys.
And we love adjusting the lunch to catch the show. That's awesome.
Yes, of course. With Sean Ryan, again, haven't seen much on him yet. I really am slacking on my summer watching, but hey, I'll take your word for it again. Let's go into, I mean, if you watch the show, and we know Dowell has, because he's our number one fan, we still got to get him that shirt. This next guy, you know, he comes from a school that I was obsessed with their right tackle last year, Spencer Brown. Trevor Penning, the left tackle from Northern Iowa. Some people are saying might be a better prospect than Spencer Brown. I tend to disagree. I don't think he's as good as Spencer Brown was, but I also didn't think Spencer Brown was a third-round pick. I thought he was a first-round pick. So take that with take my opinion with that context in it. But Trevor Penning is another really solid player and could be one of the top FCS players coming out next year. Probably will be at least a top 5 FCS player coming out. Probably even more than higher than that. Look, we're talking about a really big, really athletic tackle. Has a ton of abilities as a mover. Really showed great movement skills, excellent feet. And he's put on weight since getting there, has really filled out his body in a good way, and kind of, I don't know what's going on there in Northern Iowa. I don't know what's in the water or whatever, but they have really figured out how to fill out these guys. I mean, if you look at pictures of Ellerson Smith, Spencer Brown, and Trevor Penning when they got there to where they are now, they didn't just add weight. They jacked their bodies. They got jacked. That's the name of the game here. So I like what Trevor Penning's got for sure. I think that he is someone next year who to look at, especially like you said, it's an open tackle class. He could push up the board a little bit. I think Penning is with that size, the movement skills that he possesses at the left tackle spot now, not the right tackle spot. And there's no question he can play the left tackle spot. I think that it's definitely someone who can rise up the boards and really be potentially the first FCS player off the board. I have not dove into the FCS yet, so don't kill me for this, but I think that he's got to be at least in the conversation for best FCS player in next year's class.
They got some good ones next year, and I like Trevor Penning. I got to look at him. I caught some of his 2019 and then some of his 2021 tape, and there's a big improvement there, as you said. So first of all, he's a legit 6'7" and 3/8, so almost 6'7" and a half. He's got 34 and 7/8 arms, so let's just call him 35-inch arms, which is awesome. Then you look at the athleticism. I mean, he's another guy who's tough to beat around the outside. He's very loose in his lower half. I really like that. He's got a mean streak. And you're really looking for physically dominant players when you're evaluating players playing at lower levels of competition. And Trevor Penning is all that. He's got a mean streak. He's putting dudes on the ground. It's a lot of fun to watch. I think he's got the ceiling. It's not as high as Spencer Brown, but I think he's starting from a bit of a more solid baseline from a technique perspective. But I think he's another guy who can potentially be a starter. I just thought the appeal with that we had with Spencer Brown was that freak athleticism. I think Trevor Penning is a good athlete. I don't think he's a freak athlete, right. but he's someone who you're talking floor wise. I think he's further along than Spencer Brown was, which is exciting because Spencer Brown was a 3rd-round pick. There have been some big grades on Trevor Penning.
Spencer Brown was a 1st-round pick that slid to the 3rd round.
Yeah, right. Trevor Penning. There have been some. I mean, the league is excited about him, and yeah, like you said, you're looking at FCS prospects for the first to go off the board. I think Trevor Penning is a really good bet right now.
Yeah, you know what's interesting too is that I would say that probably the 2 guys that I was the highest on last year was Fatu Melifonwu and Spencer Brown. Both end up going in the 3rd round. It's either a shot at the confidence, or if they work out in a couple years, it's going to be a boost to the confidence. I don't know, but we'll figure that out.
I like both those landing spots though, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean,
think those were right those were obviously 2 big brand guys of the show, but yeah.
I wish we had NIL last year. We would have made them easily prospect profit athletes. By the way, if you're an athlete out there watching, hit us up. We're gonna make the brand. We'll get shirts.
Are you allowed to say that stuff? Are we gonna get in trouble if you keep doing that?
No idea. It's fine. I have done no legal research on it, so we'll see. I don't think anyone's gonna hound down on us. The 4 viewers that we've got right now. Hey guys, I don't think anyone's gonna hound down on us. But hey, let's get into the next guy here. This is a guy who could be a top 5 pick in next year's draft. Could be the first offensive lineman off the board. Lorenz, go into Evan Neal from Alabama.
Yeah, I just said Sean Ryan has a chance to be the dude. Evan Neal as well in this tackle class. In my opinion, a bit bigger of a chance to be the top guy.
Sorry,
in this
hold
class.
on. See right here, we could have the NIL deals, prospect profits. Like we could have it listed on the database. So then I think we're fine then, right?
Is it possible they wear like a little sticker of our logo on their helmet, or is that not?
Yeah, we could do that. I think I'm making up rules as we go. So
all right, so anyways, Evan Neal, he's 6'7", 360 pounds. So let that sink in.
Yeah.
So my dude is huge, massive guy. He went to IMG Academy, 5-star recruit, everything you're looking at. Walked onto Alabama's campus, bunch of first round picks or bunch of early picks on that offensive line, and held down that right guard spot, which is not easy as a true freshman. Kicked out to right tackle last year in his sophomore season. Is now expected to play left tackle. he's got rare athleticism at that size. It's really Mekhi Becton-esque if you watch him, maybe even a little bit more lateral agility for Evan Neal. His foot speed, length, and size really just give him a tremendous, tremendous upside and potential, because those are things you can't teach 6'7", you can't teach 360, you can't teach his foot speed and his movement skills at the tackle position. Now, he's a little bit unrefined, which means he's in pass protection. He's still used to playing a bit of the high school game where he was just that much bigger and stronger than everybody else. He still is bigger and stronger than everybody else in the SEC, which is saying something, but it can get him in trouble at times because he's not really patient in pass protection. He really wants to get hands on rushers quick, so right now he's better in those jump sets where he's able to be more aggressive. Those vertical sets in true passing situations can give him some issues at times because he's just not patient enough on an island. Nothing you can't fix, but it's just, those are just some bad habits that he has. He's over aggressive, will bend his waist at times, just lunge at guys because he wants to finish, and he finishes plenty of times, but if it doesn't work, he ends up on the ground. It's a bad look, it's a bad play. So those are really the things with Evan Neal, that he's just too confident in his ability. I can't really blame him, but he's got to fix it. Right now, again, he's 19 years old, or 19 or 20 years old playing last year. It's nothing that's impossible to fix for a guy like Evan Neal, especially if you're such an athlete. I'm expecting him to take a big step in that regard. But I think he's a starting tackle probably pretty early on, maybe not week one. If he doesn't improve on it right now, I wouldn't say he's a starting tackle, but I think with NFL coaching, he can start very early on. And yeah, I mean, sky's the limit for Evan Neal. Just because that frame, that athleticism, it's just a lot of unteachables. And yeah, I think someone's just going to say, some offensive line coach is going to say, get me 6'7", 360 with that type of athleticism, and I'll make him a all-pro offensive lineman for you. Now, there's a bit of risk involved if that development doesn't happen, but I think Evan Neal's got a really good chance to be a very high draft pick, and that versatility might give him a chance to get on the field even if he's not ready at tackle early on. He can come out, play guard, just like he did at Alabama as a freshman. He can do that in the NFL, so Evan Neal is a very good tackle prospect. If you make me decide between him and Sean Rhyan right now, just to hit on that point, it really depends on where you're at with your franchise. If you're trying to win right now, I think Sean Rhyan is a bit safer. If you're looking for a guy that you can really develop and mold, I think Evan Neal's probably your guy. So, yeah, both are great prospects. It really depends on what you want, what you're looking for. But Evan Neal's exciting, man. He's got plays kicking out on jailbreak screens and wide zone runs where you're like, man, this is good. So, yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I have gotten to see Evan Neal, and he is by far my offensive tackle one going into next year. Huge fan of Evan Neal. Like you said, reminds me a lot of Mekhi Becton in the profile. And I don't know if he's a better mover, but he moves real well, and as did Mekhi Becton. And I'm all in on Evan Neal. If I had to pick between the two, I haven't seen Sean Rhyan, so it's not fair. But I'm going to take Evan Neal. And we've got one more guy to go in. He is a big boy, Dell. He is. He's what's the official numbers? It's 6'7", 360.
Yeah, that's what he listed. That's what he's listed at. And give or take a little bit, man, I buy it. He's massive.
I buy it.
I buy it.
If you see his, I think there was like a workout video he posted where he was holding weights and box jumped, like whatever. The athleticism is real.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should still be right there. If you look at his Twitter after the show, it's just a silly display of size and athleticism, strength. Yeah, I mean, Evan Neal is special.
Yeah, you know what? Real interesting. Well, we do have to discuss maybe is, have you heard the rumors about the Eagles?
What Eagles? Well, what are they? I mean, I don't know. Like
what
the Boston
Eagles?
College Eagles?
No,
or
the Philadelphia Eagles.
Who?
Jack's team.
Oh, I mean, we might have to wait to talk about whenever Jack is back.
Do we though? Because yeah, we have to talk about it when he gets back. But hey, apparently they're making progress on the Deshaun Watson deal.
I mean, I just read someone else saying that nothing's imminent, but man,
Right.
I mean, yeah, if you can get Deshaun Watson and you're confident that he's going to play, I mean, there may be 5 quarterbacks in the league of on-field performance, maybe not even that I would rather have. You just got to feel good with the background. I mean, I think it's still the same thing. People are going to say, "Oh, this is going to throw the Eagles back in with draft picks." Man, what the Eagles are trying to get with the draft picks that they have is a quarterback like Deshaun Watson. So whatever the cap is, whatever anything is, you got to make it work. I would go get Deshaun. Deshaun Watson is one of the 10 players that if you can get him, you should go get him.
Right. Come join the Giants fan base. We love it here.
Nah, you should be happy as an Eagles fan if Deshaun Watson doesn't have the legal issues that then cause him to not play.
That's
if Deshaun Watson gets traded to the Eagles and plays there for 15 years and they gave up 3 first-round picks, you should be happy about that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, we'll see what we end up with in that trade. And yeah, I agree with you. I think that the draft capital is whatever, as long as he's going to play, as long as there's, I don't want to talk about the off the field because it's we don't know enough about it yet. So he's obviously got to figure that out. They've got to be comfortable with that. But as long as he's going to play on the field, like you said, on the field, I don't think that there's more than 4 quarterbacks that I'm taking over Deshaun Watson, and that's being conservative. So I think that the price on the field is worth it. Is the price off the field worth it? I don't know. Obviously, it's you can bring up the fact that Philly did take in Michael Vick after that situation, and they did handle it well. So maybe they feel confident that they can do it again. But it was different coaching staff. Your first-year coach. I don't know if it's really the best of things to do, but hey, if they can figure out the off the field stuff, Deshaun Watson is an excellent on the field talent.
I mean, the Eagles right now have 3 unknowns: unknown quarterback, unknown head coach, unknown roster. You can throw in we know about the GM. If they get Deshaun Watson, that's 1 unknown less. I know that guy's a franchise quarterback. So, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, if I was an Eagles fan, I'd be excited about this.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into this final player here. Rasheed Walker, Penn State, another just massive individual who has been pretty solid player for them. Penn State, just not over the top, but been a pretty solid player. And when you talk about the size profile, is something that you have to keep in mind. Where if he puts on some great tape this year, he'll just start sliding up boards real quick because it's he fits the profile. He fits the profile at the next level athletically and with his size. So this is someone to at least keep an eye on. But he has been a solid mainstay on that Penn State offensive line. It's just he doesn't jump out to me. It's just like he's just a guy, an average guy, and like I'm good with that. That's that's fine. When you look at the size profile, I think we're talking about a 3rd or 4th round guy maybe with just like the tape he's put on so far. But then push it up a little bit with the weakness of the class, and now you're looking at a guy who probably finds himself in that 2nd round range. But if he comes out this year and really dominates for Penn State, obviously last year was just Penn State did not have a great year last year, so it was really hard to find a bright spot in that team. But if he comes out and dominates for Penn State, I think that this is someone who could easily find himself in the 1st round if he puts on the tape that we think he can put on. The athleticism's there. I'm skeptical because it hasn't happened yet. And I don't know exactly what it's going to take for it to happen, but I'm excited to watch him going into 2021 and for the 2022 draft. I think that he's someone who, if Penn State can bounce back, maybe he bounces back a little bit. I don't know if he necessarily needs to bounce back, but you just expect more. I mean, we've been hearing this kid as a top 10 pick for the past 2 years when he comes out, and I just don't see it. But I think that he's got the intangibles that maybe could push him into that first round range if he puts the tape on.
Yeah, I think he's someone who's pretty inconsistent right now. But traits wise, he's someone who could end up on day 3, or he's someone who someone could end up falling in love with, or everyone falls in love with, because he plays consistently, he plays up to his ceiling, and that would be exciting for Rasheed Walker. So definitely a name to know. Another name, if I can just throw him out here as a honorable mention, is Zion Nelson from the University of Miami. The U. He's someone who's very big. Started off there as a freshman. If you remember the Florida game from 2 years ago, it was rough, but he's really taken a step forward. He's got all the athleticism in the world, 35-inch arms, just really rough technique-wise. I hope he can take a step forward. If he doesn't, I don't really expect him to come out, but he's another name to know in that developmental tackle range in which Rasheed Walker is in as well.
Hey, and the man himself, Rick Saratella, just sent me, because we were talking about it, he's always looking out for us, sent me a tweet from Dan Salio, who is verified on Twitter, said that it looks like the Eagles have offered up to 2 first-round picks and Devonta Smith for Deshaun Watson, the Houston quarterback. So that would be 3 first-round picks technically. Next year, it looks like they're only going to have 2, because I don't think that Carson Wentz is going to end up being able to play that 70% snap. I guess it depends. If he comes back in 5 weeks, it's
I mean, the timeline's 5 to 12 weeks. It's just the outcome is you either miss nothing or you miss, 7 weeks. I mean,
yeah. So my guess would be if you meet in the middle there, he doesn't meet it. I think he has to play on average it would probably have to be like 13 games.
Well, it's either 70% and make the playoffs, or it's 75%, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so he'd have to play 13 games for the playoffs not to matter. I think it would be 11 games if they make the playoffs. But
something like that.
Yeah,
there's probably someone smarter than us that has actually looked into this.
Let's let them do it. But hey, yes, Dal commented. Of course not. You know we do.
You guys are the biggest Wentz haters in the universe.
Yeah. 2 first-round picks and Devonta Smith, though. How do you feel about that, real quick, before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you can acquire Deshaun Watson with 2 first-round picks and Devonta Smith, who's a receiver, I think is going to be really good. But at the end of the day, he's still a receiver. He's still an unproven player in the NFL. There's still a chance he's not going to be good. Man, you're getting yourself a franchise quarterback and a difference maker at quarterback. The thing for me is just you better be sure Deshaun Watson is going to be on the field for you for like 10 years, barring injury.
Right.
Because you can't give up that kind of capital and have him play for 1 season, then get suspended indefinitely and never get reinstated. That's the big issue here. I don't know if you can be sure. I'm not a lawyer. I mean, I'm really tapping in the dark with it. If I'm just looking at the football side, I would absolutely offer this, and I would be happy about it if I was an Eagles fan.
No, I agree with you. If you're just talking football, and I don't think that that's fair. Whatever's going on obviously has to be discussed. But if you're just talking about Deshaun Watson, the football player, he is worthy of that 3-pick compensation. If you look at what he has been able to do on the field for the past, this would be his 4th year in the league or 5th year. Either way, it's been phenomenal what he's been able to do on the field, and I don't think it's fair to ignore the off-the-field stuff, but we'll see what comes from that. It's not fair for us to discuss it because we don't know, but it is unfair to not discuss it, if that makes sense. So we'll see what comes from the off the field. You have to be confident as the Eagles that not only is he going to be on the field, but that this was that this is something that they can handle as an organization, because this will come with backlash for sure. But I think
if it happens, there will be a Prospect Profits emergency show about it. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah, we'll break it down. Don't worry. But hey, let's get out of here. We talked enough today. Lorenz, any final words before we get out of here?
Yeah, go to the NFL Draft Bible. Go check out the scouting reports. Go check out the mock draft if you want to see some A little bit of a different spin on a first round. I also put a second round in there, so let me know what you agree, what you disagree with on that. And also, yeah, I mean, little teaser: the scouting lens, the article series, going to be coming back probably next week. Going to look into a defensive end from Oregon who is a solid football player and a guy who we probably are going to talk about on Saturday because that's when we got our Edge show.
Yeah.
Come back for that around 11 o'clock. That's what we're gunning for. We'll get a tweet out from the Prospect Profits Twitter account, which is down there. You should absolutely go follow it right now to keep updates, to stay updated on the show. And then whenever Jack is back, we'll keep rocking out those NFL breakdowns, which have been a lot of fun and have been super informative. That'll be next week though. On Saturday, come back for the Edge show.
Hey, and Dowell rocks. He said we rock, but he rocks. Our number one fan out there. Gotta show support. But no, yeah, go to the NFLDraftBible.com. We'll be back Saturday. We'll get Jack back on Tuesday. Yeah, I think that's it. Have a happy Football Thursday, everyone.